you're going to be best friends with the dog? Like, no one was expecting it. Hey, we need to film it like this. The sun's setting over the mountain. Let's quickly get it while the sun's setting. The coolest character ever. He's someone that she can't really escape. It's beautiful. It's fast paced. It's action packed. I mean, it's really hard not to fall in love with Blue.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Heart in Motion podcast. I'm so excited to be talking with Scarlet Hunter today. Hi, Scarlet.
Hello, Stephanie. How are you?
I'm wonderful. I just finished watching last night the first episode of Blue Skies, which is going to be premiering on Up Faith and Family in February, on February 19th specifically. Loved that first episode and I'm so excited to talk with you. Your character is Jodi Larsen. So what can you tell us about Blue Skies?
Oh, well, thank you so much for having me, Stephanie. This is a very exciting time and also like the beginning of the kind of press part of the journey. So thank you again.
You bet.
But okay, so Blue Skies is a police detective drama set against a gorgeous national park. And I play Jodi Larsen, who is former US military, and she moves home to her small town and joins the national park investigative team. So she's having a bit of a tough year. And to make things more complicated, she has a little furry friend that finds his way to her.
I loved the way that this episode started out. It was high energy right from the beginning. So we get to see Jodi in action with a lot of her military background, kind of working through a situation. So I'm curious, did you have to do any sort of special research or training to prepare for this role?
I did quite a lot actually, because I have never, held a gun before, let alone shot one, and let alone made it look like I've been doing it a really long time. So that was a really important piece of the puzzle, was to just feel as comfortable as possible, like walking and talking and holding a weapon.
Yeah.
So I went to the shooting range a bunch just to like really feel it in my body. I worked with a stunt coordinator in Vancouver to get it like the look of it. So I feel, powerful almost. And so, I didn't want it to look like you could just take it from me. I wanted it to feel good in my body.
Yeah.
So I did that. And I watched a lot of like iconic female detectives over the years. Got a lot of inspiration from that, and all different kinds. So yeah, it's a very cool, especially for a young woman to, be in the army and come home and be a detective. It was yeah, it's very cool to do the research.
So when you first learned about this particular project, what was it that really drew you to this role?
So I was in LA when I got the audition in the car with my husband, and I read out all of the like requirements.
Mhm.
And we both laughed out loud. I'm like, I don't meet a single requirement that they're looking for. And we both laughed. And then he made a joke. He was like, you're going to get this because of this. And we still think about that moment in the car. But I think our writers created, so Mark Bacci, our writer and showrunner, who is just such a gorgeous man, he made Jodi a real person. She has real human traits, good and bad. She doesn't come home and start pouring her heart out. She's having a really hard time and she doesn't know how to talk about it. And she's maybe a bit of a workaholic, and that, so her grief is manifesting in all these different ways, and she doesn't really know how to talk to people in her life. And I just thought that was such a human response, and a real person who's going through lots of change. So I loved that, in the character itself, but then also how much this show is outside in nature, and how much nature is a character of its own, and how healing that is for Jodi in the end. So there was so many things that, and also just the really cool things that she does. Even in the first episode, I was reading it. After I got it, I was reading it. I'm like, okay. And then she has to do this. Okay, like that's gonna be me. So
Uh-huh.
there was like it was exciting and nerve-wracking, but yeah, just the coolest character ever.
So the story really, you've got the procedural side of it with her military background, but like you said, she is a human being who is living out these struggles and trying to find this new place for herself. She's back home. How did
Mm.
you find that balance between, okay, I need to hit, the military, I'm this play this tough exterior, but yet there's still that vulnerable side to Jodi.
Yeah, great question. I mean, luckily, because it's essentially a procedural show.
Yeah.
So a lot of that kind of police business is already in there for you. It's a lot, there's those wordy police scenes when we're in the bullpen and doing the evidence boards. So that's all kind of done. And once you're in uniform
Mm.
and, once you have a police belt on as well, it kind of changes. You can't stand the way you normally stand
Hmm.
because the belt's in the way. So there's
Hmm.
a lot of things that you're kind of gifted already.
Yeah.
Um, and then in terms of like balancing that, I thought a lot about that as well, balancing the vulnerability and I think I kind of went back to some anchors for Jodi about like first and foremost, she will protect, anyone from harm. And and she won't stop at anything. So I think just leaning on the anchors of, okay, what's the most important thing? It's people being okay and safety and protecting people in the park, so leaning on those anchors and then letting the police stuff kind of do that work for me.
It's so funny that you mentioned that because I've talked with other people that have played in like even period dramas and they'll
Mm.
say like, well, I wear the corset and I keep it on because it helps me remember that I need to have that type of posture in this role. So it's always interesting to hear how actors rely on even those pieces to help them with that.
Yes, exactly. And even down to, I wore the same thing, different colored uniforms, but I essentially wore the same thing for like 4 months.
Yeah.
And that as well with like the discipline of I don't have to really think about what I look like, because I'm always in the same uniform and it helps. It's then you're thinking, okay, well, what is this really about? I'm trying to help this other person. I'm trying to help the victim or the victim's family. And so yeah, the costume and especially and when it's a police uniform does a lot.
Yeah. You mentioned the national park. For those that, I mean, I'm so excited for people to see this. That first episode, it was just beautiful.
Oh,
Being in that area. Can you talk about where you guys filmed location wise? I actually got to talk, and I didn't even connect this until I was watching it last night. I got to talk a few months ago with director Jason Burke, and
oh,
it clicked. Wait, this is the series he talked about and just raved about and the location and all of that. So bringing that full circle, and he talked a little bit about your partner, which we'll get into here in a minute. But where did you guys film this, and what was that like?
oh God, I love Jason. I'll have to go back and listen to that. He's isn't he just
Oh, he's
wonderful?
wonderful. Yeah.
Oh,
I've had him
gorgeous.
on twice, and I'll just keep having him back because I just love getting his perspective after he does a project. It just brings so much more to the project itself. So,
Yeah, I can imagine. Such a brilliant, brilliant director and just lovely human to be around, to collaborate with.
yeah.
Um, we were so lucky where we got to shoot, and you can see it in the show. And I'm really excited for people to see just how beautiful the show is. Jay Kamal, our cinematographer, um, he's just a genius. Like he'll see a shot, be like, okay, we need to film it like this. The sun's setting over the mountain. Let's quickly get it while the sun's setting. So it's stunning. It was in Squamish in British Columbia in Vancouver.
Yeah.
And the pun of blue skies was used so much because I think it rained like 3 times in our whole shoot.
Yeah.
And we were outside all the time.
Yeah.
So it was so beautiful. The mountains, the nature, and just being outside just kind of settles everyone. You'd look over and the crew at lunchtime is able to just sit in the sunshine and, have a little nap. It was gorgeous being outside that much. Yeah, really good for the heart.
Yeah. It's like a character in and of itself.
Yeah.
So speaking of characters, Jodi meets a new boss in episode one.
Mhm.
And it's an interesting dynamic to say the least. But she mentions that Jodi doesn't have a partner and everybody else has a partner. And it's as if this partner just kind of like decides he's going to be your partner. So, what can you tell us about who you kind of inherit in episode one?
Inherit is such a good word for it. I haven't actually used that. Yes, so an unknown kind of lost pup turns up on Jodie's doorstep, and he's a kind of inconvenience to her at the start. You know, she's going through a lot. She doesn't really have time to figure out whose dog this is. But he shows her that they need, I think they really need each other, you know. And yeah, so then Blue, and we end up calling him Blue, and can't find his owner at the beginning, so she's kind of stuck with him. And yeah, they just really form a bond, and he starts kind of opening her back up to the world again. She's a little closed off and keeps her cards kind of close to her chest. And yeah, he's like her intro into kind of trusting people again, you know?
Jason mentioned that Blue was actually four dogs. Is that correct?
Yes, that is correct. Yes.
So, what was that like working with? Have you worked with animals much in previous projects that you've done? Let
No, I've
alone four?
never, let alone for, I know, no, I've never ever worked with animals. I've never, you know, been on a show this long. So this was a huge challenge for me. So not only are we shooting a lot outside in the summer, we also have a dog as, you know, the number two on the call sheet, who's kind of always there in every shot. Um, yeah, it was wonderful. I mean, talk about taking the pressure off, like always having a dog there, and also having to respect that there is an animal on set as well was just a good kind of reminder to keep everyone had to kind of keep their cool. You couldn't get stressed out because the animal would feel that. Um, so yeah, it was so much fun. And I didn't have a dog growing up. My parents aren't really animal people. I grew up and I was actually allergic to a lot of dogs, and that went away as I got older. So my parents, when I told them that I'd booked this, they were like, "You're doing what? Who? So you're going to be best friends with the dog?" Like no one was expecting it. But then we really formed bond. You know, I got to do a bit of training with the dogs before we started, and then yeah, I miss them. It became they very special. It was a very special relationship.
That's amazing. Well, and anybody that loves dogs is going to love to see this because it was so much fun to watch episode one and to see that dynamic immediately and
Yeah.
the integral part that Blue played in solving this mystery in episode one. So
I know. And Jodi is relies maybe a little bit too much on that kind of gut instinct. And she just believes that there's something that he knows that we don't know. And she follows her gut, and yeah, it works out.
Blue is not the only other character in Blue Skies. You got a great cast alongside that have very different personalities and approaches to the way that they do their job. So, how does that tension and dynamic play out over the season coming up?
Great question. I know the characters. Oh, well, first of all, I was just so lucky with the cast that we had. Like just legendary people and like lovely actors, generous scene part. Like you couldn't have asked for a better ensemble of people to work with. But it's interesting, the characters off the beginning, and I remember doing in my prep, I was doing a lot of relationship work to all of the characters. Um, and it's a really beautiful journey on how they all grow as a team, and all of their quirks kind of come out and all of their strengths come out. And yeah, we really start working as a team as the series goes on. And so much fun. And I think Jodi, again, back to that opening herself up to trusting people again. The she starts trusting and relying on her teammates, which is not something that she's kind of ever done. So yeah, it's a beautiful ensemble, and I'm really excited. I hope we can do more and kind of flesh those relationships out further.
There's another character, Ryan Miller, that is in Blue Skies that Jodi meets, kind of reconnects with in a
Mm.
way in episode one. So, what can viewers expect with the dynamic between Jodi and Ryan?
Yes. Oh, this is a hard one. So they have a lot of history and, they've known each other a really long time and they've both kind of moved home around similar times and haven't seen each other for a while. So they meet again and they're also kind of forced to working, Ryan's search and rescue. And so they kind of have to cross paths a lot. And they're almost getting to know each other again, as adults. And it's tricky at first, I don't think Jodie's ready to meet anyone. But she can't help but feel this kind of draw and kind of familiarity with Ryan. And he's he's gorgeous and competent and all of the things that you would kind of look for. But, is she ready to meet someone? Is she ready to even be with anyone? She's grieving and there's so much change. But yeah, he's someone that she kind of can't really escape.
I'm excited to see where that goes. I mentioned earlier on your boss, and it's Superintendent King. How does
Yes.
Superintendent King challenge Jodi in ways that maybe she's not used to?
Yes. It's interesting because Jodie is coming from a military background, so she knows how to obey orders.
Yeah.
But there's something that, in this stage of her life, and after coming home from the military and after going through what she's gone through, she's kind of like is abandoning the rules a bit,
Yeah.
which gets her into trouble with King, who's doesn't understand why she keeps, abandoning the rule book. Um, but I loved working with Miranda, who plays King, who's just an extraordinary actor and like gives me so many different things in every scene. But their relationship is special. I think maybe King sees some of her own ambitions in Jodie and recognizes that, she is very good at her job. And, you can't really go off gut instinct when you're a police officer, but Jodie keeps, proving herself right. So I think King starts trusting her a little bit and the work is starting to speak for itself. And then, yeah, their relationship starts blossoming, which is really lovely.
Love that. There's one more relationship, and it's part of the reason why Jodi went home, and that was, to be near her dad again. Can you talk a little bit about, what Jodi has gone through related to her family and that dynamic this season?
Yeah. The father, another one of the reasons why I was so drawn to the character itself was because of this very complex, relationship with her dad, especially for these, more family driven shows. Sometimes everything can be like rainbows with family, but in real life, after we lose someone, we don't know how to talk to each other. And especially when Jodie's lost her mother, who was very much the bridge between her and her father. So now that her mother's gone, she's kind of forced to face their disconnect. And Shaughnessy, who plays Bill, who is just a wonderful actor. He and I spoke a lot about their relationship, and he has a daughter who's close in age to me, a little bit younger. So yeah, we spoke a lot about kind of that father-daughter relationship, and yeah, I think that they both need to rise to the challenge and they both need to work together to meet each other in the middle. But it's going to take a while because they just don't know how to talk.
I'm excited to see how that plays out as well. There's so many different dynamics, even in episode one, to the different
Mm.
relationships, setting up really well for, I think, for a great season. At its heart, Blue Skies is about protection of people, of nature, of the community. What do you think audiences will connect with the most?
Hmm. I mean, it's really hard not to fall in love with Blue. He's so adorable. But I think something that I have come back to a lot is that sense of community and being part of a team, and that you really need to work together. You can't do things on your own. You can't heal on your own, really. And I think that the team really comes together when they need each other, and it's their, yeah, they have that connection with each other. And I think that audiences will really see that as the show goes, and see that it's just easier to do it when you work together.
If you were to describe Blue Skies by connecting it to maybe another project or series that has been out there, how would you describe it?
Interesting.
It's got a vibe of the Virgin River because of the backdrop. So that
Hmm.
whole BC vibe,
Yeah.
I'll contribute that part.
Yes, I think it's like this really wonderful kind of medley of Virgin River. You have the classic like Law and Order,
Oh yeah. Yeah.
but make it family friendly.
Yes.
And then maybe the kind of edge that Tracker gives as well, of like it's beautiful, it's fast paced, it's action packed. We've got lots of cool action scenes in our show. Um, but the whole family can watch it. It doesn't discriminate and leave anyone out. Everyone can get on the couch and enjoy it together.
So without giving any spoilers away, how does Jodi evolve over the course of the season?
Hmm. Well, Blue is a huge part of
Okay.
this journey. And I think that, I mean, not to, harp on about it, but she really is grieving. And I think she starts moving through the different stages of grief. And at first, she's very much like, nope, nope, push it down, push it down. And, you know, Blue starts opening her back up to start moving through that process. But I think she starts realizing that she can rely on people and that it's going to be okay.
That's going to be fun to watch. So I think we've got 8 episodes. Is that correct?
I've got 8 episodes. Yeah.
8 episodes. If fans fall in love with Blue Skies, what excites you most about where the story could go next?
Oh, I really hope they fall in love with Blue Skies. We loved it. It was so much fun. Um, I am curious to see how her personal relationships progress. I hope that she can find love, and I hope that she falls in love. And, I don't want to spoil too much about the first season,
Yeah.
but yeah, I'm excited for her to grow and settle back in to, her hometown, a place that meant so much. And, she's been away for a long time. So settling back into her hometown and really building those relationships back out. And then I think as well, like I said, we've got a lot of cool action scenes in the show. So I think people will really like that. And, the national park really takes no prisoners. It's
Mhm.
the vast kind of nature is very relentless. So it's exciting what the things that can happen in the park. It's really, for that action-packed kind of edgy show, I think that it'll be really fun.
I think we've just about covered every genre in this
Yeah.
series, right? The military lover can show up, the dog
Yeah.
lover can show up. If you love being outdoors, you can show up. If you like family friendly, show up.
Tick,
I think
tick.
we've got it right.
I hope so.
Well, Scarlett, it has been so good to talk with you. I am so excited to continue to watch the rest of the season. I hope everybody tunes in for the premiere on February 19th on Up Faith and Family, streaming on February 19th. Thank you so much, and can't wait to see Blue Skies this season.
Thank you so much, Stephanie. This was wonderful. Thank you so much for taking the time.
You bet. All right. Bye bye.
See you soon. Bye.